Hi, I'm Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint, and today we're going to be talking about citrus leaf miner. We're now at the first week of August, and I've noticed that a lot of the new growth on my citrus trees have been affected by the citrus leaf miner. And let me show you what that actually looks like. If you check out these Meyer lemons here on my left, come and take a look over here. So you'll take a notice that there's this branch over here, which grew a few months ago, and then there's this new growth that happened within the last few weeks. And it's actually on the new growth that you'll typically find this, are these squiggly lines that run through the leaf. And if you follow the path carefully, you can actually see at the end of one of these paths are these little caterpillars that actually live right in between the top and the bottom layers of the leaf. So it's actually right in between the leaf layers, and hence very difficult to actually treat with most pesticides. Here's another example, and take a look what's happening to this leaf now. So the trails are all over the leaf. I'm trying to spin it around, and here comes a spider, and there that goes. Anyways, so but it's actually the citrus leaf miner that actually damaged the leaf that is causing now the leaf curl. And there was a spider that actually came out of the center of that. So that's great. We've got that predator here in the garden to help control some insects. And I want to give you one more example. If you come up here, and you'll see another indication here of leaf miner. And you can see that it's separating the top layers of the leaf from the bottom layer. And if you follow the path, you'll notice that right at the tip of my finger is where the caterpillar is. If you can zoom in there, you see the caterpillar is right there. But the leaf has been damaged. It's actually now curling, and this is what it looks like underneath. So you can see some of the path also on this side, and the caterpillar is right in there as well. You can see it from this side as well, but it's right in between the leaf. A safe place to be. And the citrus leaf miner actually is kind of like a moth or a small fly that actually has its entire life cycle between the soil and then the leaf. It actually is going to go from this caterpillar to a pupa, which will then attach to somewhere on the plant, and then it turns into this moth or a small fly that then goes back down into the soil where it spends most of its time and then comes back up to lay its eggs, and the cycle continues to repeat itself. This process actually will continue typically from late spring all the way through early fall. So most people start treating their citrus to actually avoid this issue from happening to their leaves starting in May, June, July, August, September, maybe October. But once the temperatures cool down, this issue usually is relieved among your citrus. Let me actually show you also what this looks like from last year's damage. If you can follow me over here. So here we are now next to our Eureka lemon tree, and if you take a look here, this here was growth that happened a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, but you can see the leaf tissues are a lot thicker, and hence there's no damage with leaf miner. But when I look down, you can actually see here's some damage by leaf miner that already had existed. So this is probably one that actually survived, turned into the pupa, turned into the adult, reproduced, laid some more eggs, and now contributing to this generation of leaf miner. And if we go down below, this here is more of the growth from last year, and you can see again the leaves, how they're curled. In regards to plant health, when they're younger plants, such as these over here, if you follow me, so you can take a look over here. This here is another Eureka lemon. We've got the plant covered with the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard color white to reflect the most amount of sunlight, but there's also, if you prefer, a brown and a green color as well, which look more natural. But those also offer the sunblock protection as well as protection from insects and rodents. We're going to be discussing that shortly, but you can see how much light is actually hitting the tree, and this actually, citrus are known for actually being affected by sunburn. And until this forms a canopy that's actually shading the lower branches and tree trunk, it needs the additional protection. But take a look over here. You can actually see there's more damage from some leaf miners that affected it. This is from last year's damage. And again, this here, more damage from last year and last year and last year. And the point I'm trying to make here is when the tree is young, as this one is over here, if enough of the leaves are affected by citrus leaf miner, it will take away the plant's ability to make the most amount of sugars to help support good fruit, root development, and growth. We want to actually have healthy leaves to help maximize the amount of sugars that the plant can actually make, and that'll ultimately result in a much healthier and much more growth and a better established plant in the long run. So for your more established citrus trees, you can actually, as simply as, if we go back over here again, so if we come back over here, we can take a look at the citrus leaf miner that has affected now these leaves, and look at how unfortunate this is. It got this leaf, and it got that leaf, and it got this leaf, and it got that leaf, and it's still not done. So by the time the plant continues to grow, it's going to curl severely. So one remedy for actually taking care of it is actually simply cutting it off, and we'll go down to this leaf is also affected, this here being a new leaf, and you can actually see this one's actually got a couple of caterpillars in here. If you actually take a look, there's one right there, and then I found another one over here. So its parent laid at least 2, if not 3 eggs. It looks like there's probably another one at the end of this pathway. But what I could do is actually remove all of these citrus leaf miners down to this area, and I'll just cut it. Ultimately, this branch will continue to grow and actually make some new growth, but hopefully we'll be prepared to actually treat the plant next time before this actually occurs in your garden. And again, keep in mind that it only happens on the new growth in your garden. For your more established leaves that have actually grown and actually became, have actually grown thick, and you can see it's indicated by the darker green color. Once that's established, there's no need to treat it at all. The citrus leaf miner does not affect the thicker leaves. It only affects the new growth. So the goal is to actually protect the new growth so that they can actually turn into these beautiful leaves as well, which will make the most amount of sugars to help support good root development, good fruit development. Take a look at all the fruits and flowers that are going on in here. And again, this here is our Meyer lemon. We did a video recently discussing how great it is, but take a look. Here's a bee here to pollinate these flowers, but take a look at all the flowers. And again, keep in mind that we're now in the first week of August and we've got a lot of flowers going on. Take a look at all the fruit down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm gonna stop counting. I would guess there's at least 50 fruit on this small tree that's only about maybe 3.5 to 4 feet tall, and is only installed less than 2 years ago, and it's actually doing quite well. Here goes that bee again. So the point is to keep your eye on the new growth, and then we're gonna come up with now some solutions to actually taking care of it. And let me show you some of the products that I brought with me here today. So for the branches you've actually removed that actually have the citrus leaf miner throughout the leaves, make sure you dispose of this as far as you can from your garden. Put it in a waste receptacle, maybe even put it with your trash in the sealed plastic bag. But make sure you get this away from your garden so that the cycle does not continue. You're trying to end it right here. But in regards to ending the cycle, I'm actually sharing a few products here that are actually going to help you in regards to controlling it, and controlling it organically. The first that many gardeners know about for an organic way to treat things in your garden is using a product such as this, which is neem oil. And neem oil actually has characteristics that actually protect plants from insects and fungus and mites. And so this is a product that can actually be used safely. Another product I've got here as well is called Captain Jack's. And what Captain Jack's is, and the active ingredient in here is Spinosad. I don't know if you can zoom in over here, but you're looking for a product that actually has Spinosad. And Spinosad is basically a bacteria, and this bacteria was discovered on one island in this entire planet. And this bacteria actually has been used and patented by this company for the purposes of actually coating your plants. It's an organic method again. The insects that actually consume the plants, such as the leaf miners that are damaging the citrus leaf, will actually ingest some of this bacteria, which will help end its life cycle as well. So neem oil is one way of actually smothering and ultimately killing the leaf miners. Spinosad is another, and a third that I brought with me is another product such as this. And this is called All Seasons Horticultural Endormance Spray Concentrate, and the active ingredient in here is mineral oil. So it's just mineral oil. And this product as well says that it too can help and protect your plants from citrus leaf miner as well. But what I want to share with you is when using oils such as neem oil and mineral oil, it's the equivalent of actually putting oils on your skin. If we actually put oil and we're out in the sun, we're actually cooking our body. Let me actually show even on this label here, and this is actually, you know, a tanning oil, and it says over here, sun alert. This product does not contain any sunscreen, and limiting sun exposure, wearing protective clothing, and using sunscreens may reduce the risk of skin aging, skin cancer, and other harmful effects of the sun. So oil, we both know, is, and when out in the sun, is pretty much frying your skin. Applying products such as neem oil and mineral oil to your plants in summer is and could be a death sentence. And let me show you some of the damage that actually happened to our plants about a month ago when we actually put neem oil on them without other protection. Come follow me. So if we take a look over here, this here is my Lisbon lemon tree. It's actually the most heat tolerant, it's actually the most frost tolerant, it's the most disease resistant. Far more advantages of the Lisbon lemon, and even when it comes to taste, that are superior to the Eureka lemon. Even though they look similar in size and color and everything else, and even fruit productivity. But take a look at what happened to these leaves. This is actually damage caused by neem oil. We sprayed it. We did it in the evening as recommended when it comes to putting oils on your plants. We did it in the evening, but the next day actually went back up into the 90s. I don't even think we had a 100-degree day, and you can see it caused leaf burn as well. And this is actually the new growth that has you know, come in the last few weeks since this damage. So this is one indication. Let me show you a couple more. This here, now we're here on our Eureka lemon. Here's actually some burn that actually happened on its leaf. You can see how that was all damaged as well. I think there was citrus leaf miner that was in here, and then plus the oil just burned it. So this here is also some sunburn. You can actually see some more spots within. That's all caused by neem oil. Let me show you one more. And then here we are next to our bear's lime, also known as the Persian lime. And if you take a look over here, you can actually see one of our first limes. This here was installed just about maybe 6 months ago. So we've already got limes. I know it's blooming in some areas as well. And you can see there's a lot of growth happening everywhere. And unfortunately, citrus leaf miner made its way over here as well. Come and take a look over here. Take a look at this leaf, how it's curling. And the tunnels that are happening right here on the surface. There's another one that just got started maybe within the last 24 hours. You can see that little spot that's actually happening right there in the center of the leaf. So I don't know if you see the tunnels that are just starting right there. And I'm seeing a couple more spots here and there throughout the plant. But what I want to share with you again when it comes to sunburn is take a look down here. Take a look at all these brown leaves that have actually got burned. When we actually had leaf miner that we found here in the garden about 2 months ago. So again, keep in mind this is the first week of August now. If you come in a little bit closer, I'm going to show you actually a leaf miner that was here about 60 days ago. And when we actually treated it with the neem that actually ultimately burnt the plants, it even burnt part of this leaf. So here we are trying to control an insect, and we ended up with actually more damage to the leaf than what the insect probably would have done. So I'm actually going to come up with some solutions to actually help you with your gardening. So we just talked about using an oil. The alternative is using an actual sunblock. And so we'll actually put something like this, where you actually take a look at it. We'll actually leave these white spots, as you can see on my hairs. And what we're trying to do, and something actually, a product like this, we're going to notice when we actually apply it to the plants, it actually can lighten the plant. And it actually does have some white to it that actually in fact lightens the plant and actually can offer some cooling. But the disadvantage of this product is, and here it goes, like for citrus trees, it's saying the maximum number of applications in a year is only 6. So you can only apply this 6 times a year. And for creating the most effectiveness, and there's a lot of literature and education on this, the best things that most gardeners have actually had the best success with is actually alternating between neem oil and spinosad, and basically doing it like on a 2-week schedule, maybe even 3. And it all depends on the plant growth. This plant that I've got over here, and the reason it's here is there's no new growth on it. And without new growth, there's no reason to spray it. You're only trying to spray the new growth that's happening in your garden, and you're trying to protect the citrus leaf miner from actually laying eggs on that and ultimately turning into caterpillars that will ultimately damage your leaves. So when you actually don't see growth on your plant, there's no reason to treat it. But with our Meyer lemons that are over here that are putting out a lot of new growth within the last 30 days, and for my, actually I want to share this again, in regards to my Eureka lemon that's right here behind me, this is only a semi-dwarf. The height can be anywhere from 8 feet to possibly 12, and my reach is about 8 feet, and we can see that it's reaching probably a little higher. But I've been continuously trying to prune this down and trying to keep it as a bush, so all the lemons are actually within reach. So consider a semi-standard tree, and you can see what this will ultimately grow into. And then here's some more. You can actually just a second Eureka lemon tree, also semi-standard or semi-dwarf. Another one, semi-dwarf Eureka lemon. And then lastly, over here is my Lisbon lemon that's also a semi-dwarf as well. All of them fruiting, all of them, you know, performing a little bit different. And then over here, these are all actually standard Meyer lemon trees. And the reason I went with standard is because the standard usually grows about 8 to 10 feet. It's difficult to usually get height on these standard rootstocks, and the goal was again to create a hedge that's about 8 to 10 feet around this square, all of them actually producing fruit and providing lemons to our family. I'm actually gonna not show you how to use the Spinosad. The Spinosad is actually quite self-explanatory. You're gonna add, I think it's 1 or 2 teaspoons per gallon, you put in a spray container, and then apply it to your plants. But what I wanna help you with is actually, I wanna introduce another product to you here, which is called Ivory Organics. It's a 3-in-1 tree guard paint, and it says the natural tree trunk and branch barrier, protection against damaging sunburn and insects and rodents, for use on roses and fruits and nut trees, ornamental trees and shrubs. And it's a non-toxic, environmentally safe and organic product. And when you actually open your can, it comes with this paint powder. It's an organic paint, and once you add water to it, it usually has a shelf life of about 2 weeks, and it can actually last, I think, up to 3 years in your freezer. Or you can actually just mix and use what you want to use, which is what we're going to do here today. And then it also has inside this oil vial, and this oil actually contains the protection against the insects as well as rodents, and it also helps against powdery mildew and other diseases as well. So this oil is also added when preparing it. And what we're going to do here today is I want to share that if you want to actually add neem oil to your trees, one thing that you can actually do is actually take some of the organic paint, and what I'm going to do is actually get a spoon. What I'm going to do is actually take a spoon and add about a teaspoon worth of paint powder to a spray bottle, and we're just going to put that in here. So we've now got the organic white paint powder in here, and then I could use now products such as oils on my plants, and I'm actually going to take this neem oil. I'm going to add just about a little less than a teaspoon for the directions. I didn't put all of that in there. I'm going to set that down right here, and then I'm going to shake that, and I'm going to show you the results. Take a look, follow me. So here we actually see that there's a lot of leaf miner damage. Zoom in again on these leaves so you can actually see the tunnels. And another leaf behind you can see the leaf damage that's happening. What we're going to do is actually take that Ivory Organic white paint powder with the neem oil and just spray it like so. And you want to get the top and the bottom of the leaves. It's more important to actually get it on the new growth, less important to get it on the old growth, as this citrus leaf miner will not affect the hardened leaves. And you can actually see that it's now a cooled off plant that also still has the beneficial neem oils. And again, it's usually recommended to do this usually in the morning or preferably even in the late evenings. But now that we've actually applied the Ivory Organics white organic paint to it, it's now a cooled off plant. Even in the middle of this summer day, we've actually got a cooler plant, and it's actually gaining the benefits of being cooler with this white organic paint, just like using a sunblock. And it's got the neem oil to help now do all of the defenses that neem oil can offer for your plants. Let me show you one other idea as well. So another option could also be to just take your paint powder. And when actually making it, and this is actually your tree trunk and branch barrier that you can actually see on pretty much all the citrus trees, I'm actually just going to apply it to a can of paint here. So we just added the paint powder, and let me show you how we're actually going to prepare it. So you can see in here the paint powder that's in there that we just added, and then we're just going to add water halfway as the directions require. Let me set that down here and get my oil vial and add that, and then you're going to want to stir it, and then we're just going to want to stir it like so, and then you can fill up the rest of the contents with water. And now you got a full can of Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard paint. And then what you can actually do is just take this product, and now that it's got its oils in it, you can actually use a couple of teaspoons of this to the spray bottle as well. So we can also take and actually start all over with the new bottle, but you can actually just take another water bottle and just add a couple of teaspoons of this product. And again, it's got all of the oils that are beneficial of Ivory Organics plus the lightning paint, and if I wanted to add a little bit more neem oil to it, that would be fine. But stay on the lower end than on the higher end, again, because we don't want to cause any sunburn. But again, it's got the sunburn protections in here. And then now take a look here, and we'll actually do the next amount of flush of growth here. And we'll just spray that as well. And I'll take a look here, and you can see again we've got a much cooler plant. It's got the beneficial oils to actually keep the insects off of the plant. Any of the existing leaf miners that are in here will now be smothered. Any of them that actually consume any further on those leaves will actually be killed as well. So this is an alternative for your gardening method when it comes to treating citrus leaf miner. So I hope you found this video informative in regards to your treatment of citrus leaf miner in your garden, and if so, be sure to like it, and most importantly, subscribe down below so you'll be connected to all the other educational gardening videos produced by Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard paint. Thanks again for watching. Happy gardening.